Hey everyone, it's been a while since I made my last video. I've been doing a lot of other things with my job, so I was kind of busy. Without further ado, today I want to go over galleries, forms, and controls. So, as you know, Power App Studios it allows you to create low-code applications, and each of these low-code applications have individual objects that you can drag and drop it into multiple screens. Screens are like the different pages that your applications will have. So the main features are called galleries. Galleries allows you to have a scrollable list of things that you want to show. So, for example, you could have a SQL table containing menu options in a restaurant, and you could show it as a list that is scrollable. And there's another thing called forms. Forms allows, as the name suggests, it's sort of like when you go into a bank or you go into let's say you go to an embassy to get your visa, or you go to a government office to uh, do some paperwork. You will have a form where you have to fill up things. Similarly, you could create forms in Power Apps that allows you to add a row to a database table. I'm going to go over forms later, and controls, or another way of saying UI components in a application. So there are many UI components um, like arrows that you can click, or you can click on a button that takes you to the next page. That kind of thing. They're not called UI objects. That is a generic term, but in Power Apps they call it as control. So without further ado, I want to go over uh, the interface that you would go when you log in into Power Apps. So let me maximize it for now. So in Power Apps, there's this thing called Power Apps Studio Modern Control Bar. So let's have a look at Power Apps Studio Modern Command Bar. So to do that, you have to log in into make.powerapp.com, and I'm just going to create. So it's asking for form or gallery. I'll go through those later. So when you first log in, there is this part called Modern Command Bar, like, and it keeps changing depending on what you select. If you select uh, whatever in the tree view, like screen or app, it would it would show you things like what happens when you go to start screen and things like that. But generally, you will always have this back. And this is undo button, paste button. You can insert all the items uh, in an application using this insert button. It's sort of like going to insert here. It's pretty much the same as clicking the plus button. So you can also do it from by clicking the plus button, plus or plus insert button here. uh, and you can add data, like just like how you would click data here and you add data sources. You could do it by clicking this as well. And here this allows you to add new screens, and you can select things like whatever you want the next screen to be. So I'm just going to add another blank screen for now. So yeah, see, if you go to the tree view, you see another screen has been created here. So this is the modern command bar. uh, for just showing something, I'm just going to add a vertical gallery. It just created us a default set of things, and every time you select uh, the gallery, you see uh, the modern command bar also changes. So you can select edit fields and shows things like whatever you want, uh, image, subtitle, and things like that. You could for example, you select the first row in a gallery. That's how you edit all the other items in a gallery. When you make any changes like moving this around, everything else moves. So you must have noticed, like when I selected the uh, text here, you see it shows the font and the size of that font that we want to apply. So I could change the font here, and all other items in the gallery gets changed. So this is the modern command center. Some of these things like back, undo, paste, these things are standard, but the font and the things like that. Font and the size of the font depends on what you have selected just now. If I go back to selecting the page, it shows add data, add new screen, and things like that. This is something that you would want to do regardless of sorry, if you had not selected any uh, Power Apps object. So that is modern command. The next thing I want to look at is app actions. Options to view properties, add comments, run the app checker, share preview, save and publish the app. I think I've already been through most of what is shown in number two, which is app action already in my previous videos. But um, if I go to make.powerapps.com, here you will see the what you're doing right now. We are in the editing mode. So if you can press the F5 button, or you can click the play button here to see the preview of your application. And this one is used to do the app checker. It is checking all the formulas, like what all errors you have in your formulas, what is the problem you have in your runtime, accessibility feature. Like you want to have like visually impaired or deaf people able to access your application. So this is all the tips that you'll be able to see for accessibility. Performance, I don't have anything in my app right now, but if I have multiple things in my application, it will tell me how long each of the objects. For example, if I have a database that is being queried, it will tell me how long it will take to do the query and things like that. And every time you run your application, it will like it will show you the performance metric of your application. So other than performance, there's also a section called data sources. You will be able to see like things like how long each queries take, or for example, when you patch a database table, like how long that takes, or when you retrieve data from a data source, how long that takes. That information will be shown here. At the moment, I don't have anything. The share button is very important. You could share your application with multiple people who have access to Power Apps, and it's part of your tenant. Or you could, and I've already been through about all this user access and things like that. You could add other people outside your tenant as guests and give them access to your application. But this is how you would, like, for example, if I have another user, um, so I have one more user, that's me. I could give access to that person, or if I can copy the link, like I could copy the link and I can just give it to whoever needs to have access. If they go to this particular link, they would launch the application right away. So it's asking me for my ID, and yeah, right away it's taking me to my application. So you can share your application with this menu. And before you are able to see the application, we have to publish it. Um, just saving the application will save whatever you have done to your application, but what the end user will be seeing only takes place when you publish the application. So this is the publish button. So for example, if I go to the application right now, and obviously it will start on the first screen, I'm not able to see anything with the application because it is not published. But if I publish it, I'll be able to see this gallery as well. So one more small thing that I want to go over is I want to like I'm just going to make a small change here. If I make a small change, this save button will, will be pressable. So it is no longer great. So you can press the save button now. If you press Control S or you click on the save button, it will save the application. But just because you save it, as I stated before, just because you save it doesn't mean you will be able to save. You have to publish it. When you're saying, do you wish to publish this version to make it visible to all users? Only when you click the publish button, it will be visible to the users. So that is the uh, uh, that is the app action section of the Power App Studio. So I want to go over app authoring options, which is whatever you see here. And I also want to go over screen, canvas slash screen, primary canvas for composing the app structure. I've already shown you this many times, like how you can drag and drop components to your applications as and when required. And I also gone over the properties plane, but I'm just going to show it to you guys again. So first I want to show is app authoring option. So when you select any of the objects uh, in the app authoring menu. So if you select tree view, it's going to show you tree view options. If you select insert, it's going to show you all the objects that you can put in your application. If you select data, it's going to show you that. So this is the app authoring option. Next one I want to go over is screen. Screen is the canvas of the application itself. So all the objects that you want to put in your app can be put into this canvas. Next thing I want to go over is the properties pane. Any object that you create in your application, for example, I created a rectangle. I can select the properties on the uh, what do they call it, uh, in the properties list. Okay, so I can individually select the properties that I want to select in the property list, or there is a properties pane where I can see all the properties in a more structured format. There are, for example, in this rectangle, it shows you things like position, size, color, border, and there is also more advanced properties like what happens on select and things like that. All of these options, whatever you see in the properties pane, is also available here uh, in the properties list. Next thing I want to go over is the settings. There is a settings option on the bottom right. If I go to the application and there's a settings app, and this brings up the settings of the application. I've already shown like you can change the icon, you could select things like the orientation, size, aspect ratio, and things like that. Copilot, it's not in not in my license, so you could add it to your license. I'm not sure how to do that, but you could do it. There's also co-authoring feature and updates and co-authoring. I'll go over these kind of things later. And there is a support. It shows you which environment you're in. It shows you the authoring version, what is the current version of the application that you're working in. Sorry, this is the version of Power Apps. So the Power Apps version is 3.26017. This is the version of Power Apps. And you can also change it to an older version if you have any glitches. But I just like to leave it as it is. This is not the version for your application. This is the version of the Power Apps that is used to make your application. There's also useful links like documentation, terms of use, and things like that in the support page. Uh, there is a screen selector like in the bottom, just like how you select the screen in the tree view. You can go to tree view and select the screen, right? You can also do it in the bottom left, like going to screen one and screen two. And what the last thing that I want to show is the change canvas size. So there are several ways you could zoom in and out of your application. You could press the control button on your keyboard and you could scroll up or scroll down. That is one way. You can also use the plus or minus icon to zoom in and zoom out as required. You can also make your application fill the entire screen, like whatever areas are available to your screen. If you click on this button, it will occupy just that. So I want to go over screens and how to navigate between screens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to tree view, and you see there are two screens here. I'm going to delete uh, all the objects in screen one, and I'm just going to have a blank screen called screen two. To know that we are in screen two, I'm just going to add a text here. I'll put it as screen two, copy this and go into screen one again. I want to paste this text called screen one. Okay, so we have two screens here. The way we can navigate between the screens, when you, let's say, when you start an application, there is no way of moving between screens. So what you can do is you could add a button. Okay, so or button or anything that can do something like you can even have a rectangle, and you can have the on select property move to another screen, but most of the time you would use a button to move between screens. So to know that this button is used to move between screens, I'm going to put the text as move to screen 2. Okay, so if I play this application, this doesn't do anything, so we will have to program it such that it moves to screen 2. What you can do is you can click on screen 2, you can go to on select property, and you can remove whatever is in the thing, and you can select navigate. So there's a function called navigate. Target is if you keep typing, it is going to give you suggestion, and you can select screen 2, and you can close your bracket. And when you click on the play button, you see this created a button, and when you click on this button, it takes you to screen 2. And let's also create another button to bring you back to screen 1. So all you can do is you can copy this button, select this button in the tree view, or you could select it in the uh, canvas itself. Either way is fine. You could copy it, and you can paste it here. You can paste it here. So here you have the button here as well. And but if you play this button, it's just going to take you back to screen 2. We don't want that. We want to make it move to screen 1. And let's also change the text so that it is clear that we are trying to move back to screen 1. And in navigate, we have to change it to screen 1. When you click on the play button, like I'm going to go back to screen 1 again, and I'm going to play. You can move to screen 2 by clicking on this move to screen 1, and you can click on the other button to move back to screen 1. So this is how you would navigate between uh, pages in your application. I want to go over gallery. So add gallery to a blank sheet, vertical or horizontal gallery, variable height gallery. I'll go over these three things right now. Go into Power Apps. I'm just going to create a new screen, new new screen, blank screen. So first I can go to insert, and I can go to vertical gallery. I'm going to add a vertical gallery right now. So before I did that, like I'm going to add a data source. I already have a Dataverse data store here. So I'm going to use this as the data source for this gallery. So I'm going to go to data source, and I'm going to select motorcycle. We have 7 fields in motorcycle, and let me move it up a bit. You can move your gallery just like you would any object. But the thing about galleries, only the first object is editable. You can move the things around, and everything else will move around as is. Okay, and if you can even add some more components, like I'm going to add a rectangle inside this, and that object is going to get repeated to every single item in the gallery. And you can even add images if you have a image column in your database table. Like I think that's only possible in Dataverse tables to have a image data source, but in other data source you have to store the URL of the image, and you can use that to populate the image here. But that is, I don't want to get too much into that right now. So you see, a gallery is used to display a, a set of repeated items from a data source. So I was meant to say a set of tables in a more interactive way. You can also do the same thing with a table. You can go to this. You can go to. You can also do this with a data table. But the thing is, it might not be the best in some situation. So gallery is more suitable to have a more interactive way. So what looks better, this or this? I mean, if you are trying to make an application that needs to be used in a mobile phone or tablet, you would choose gallery because it is bigger and it's easier to select than from a table. I'll show you one more thing. Uh, this is a vertical gallery. There's also horizontal gallery. I'm just going to search horizontal gallery. I'm going to add in drag and drop horizontal gallery, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Like I'm going to select the same data source again. So you see, it's pretty much the same thing, but it is in horizontal way. I mean, you could think of. Uh, Let me play this application, and you could drag it by clicking on the slider icon. This is more useful if you have a touchscreen. I have a touchscreen laptop with me, and I'm able to move it like that. But um, these horizontal gallery may not be the best if you are mainly using it using a keyboard and mouse. It's more suitable for touchscreen interfaces. Most of the time, you would just be using a vertical gallery only. I want to go over this thing called. Let me add another page to this application. So there is something called variable height gallery. If I go to insert and I just search gallery, gallery, there is something called blank flexible height gallery. It looks like another gallery as any other gallery, but the thing is the height automatically adjusts based on the content that you have. So what I'm going to do right now is I have this table called product. So I just created a table in products by just like creating a table by uploading a CSV file. So I have a CSV file that looks like this. If I go to download, it should be there. um, yeah, so all it is it has a bunch of names, it has a bunch of descriptions, and it has something like price and currency and things like that. The thing is description, some of them are very short. Like if you look at number 3, it's a very short description, but some of them are pretty long. For example, if you look at the number the first row. So what you could do is, I'm just going to quickly create a table. I can go to table, I can go to create with file or Excel, and I'm going to click import, and I'm just going to upload this product table, and I'm just not going to do anything else, just importing as it is, raw. You don't want to do any joining and things like that. You don't want to create any relationship, so I'm just calling it as product, and since I already created it, I don't want to save and exit. I already have this table with me called product. I have two of them. I did it twice. I don't want to do it the third time. So I select my product table here. So the data source for this gallery, as you can see, is product. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a component. I'm going to add a text label component. I'm going to add not just one. I'm just going to add three of them. One, I'm just going to copy paste, Control C, Control V, pressing Control C and pressing Control V. Okay, and let me add one more, Control C, Control V. Okay, so uh, as you can see, the text value of this text label. First is name, and I'm going to change the second one to the description of that product. I could just go to this item dot description. So this is how galleries work. um, to to point to the current item in the row of the gallery, use this thing called this item. And when you put this item dot the item that you want in the table, like the field that you want in the table, in this case it's description. uh, so I'm going to just rearrange it so that it looks a bit better. I'm going to keep this on the top, and I'm just going to keep the name as uh, bold so that the name looks more prominent. And I'm going to add the description right there, like, and I'm going to put it in. I'm going to keep it quite short. Okay, so some of them will be one line, some of them will be multi-line. And I'm just going to change this to the price. So there's something called dot price. Okay, and just putting a number doesn't look good. I'm just going to put a dollar symbol as well. So I'm going to put dollar, and I'm going to put the and percent here. And I'm just going to put a small space there so that this is the price of the product. I'm going to keep it like right about there. If I play the application, it just looks like any other gallery. It's just, if you remember correctly, we had a much bigger space on the first one. It has a lot of space. What a variable height gallery is, it will automatically decide how much space to give for each item depending on the content that we have. One more thing that I'm going to do is like to decide where to keep each of them. Maybe even the name itself can be multi-line. um, uh, to make sure it automatically increases the width of the uh, what do you call it, text label. There's this feature called auto height. So it is not always two lines. It can be one line if possible. So you could put auto height, and I'm going to change this to true. There's this property auto height, which makes the height of the text label as required. And if I want to have a horizontal line that separates each of the rows, I'm going to do that as well. So I'm going to go to insert, and let me go to line, horizontal line. Like if I just put line, there's this thing called horizontal line. I can drag and drop it into this, and you see a line got created. And I'm just going to make the width full, and I'm just going to keep it for now. I'm just going to keep it as high as possible. See, that got disappeared because the width becomes zero. We don't want the width to become zero. So I'm going to keep the width to be about 10 pixels. So where is width? There will be property called yeah, sorry, it's called size. The x direction of the size is 630 pixels, and y, I'm just going to keep it as, let's say, 8 pixels. If you keep it as 8 pixels, you would see something weird, like a very small rectangle. That is because there's this other property called border, and that is set as 0. So you also have to keep that as well, that also as 8. Once you do that, wait, I'm not sure what happened right there. uh, yeah, let's put 4, border as 4. And let's keep the color as same as whatever we have for that shape. Yeah, that's not good. Let me go back to the shape again, and I'm just going to keep the border as 8 as well. That way it's like a full solid color. Okay, 8 is a bit too much. I'm just going to reduce it down to a smaller number. Just going to keep 4 pixels, 4 pixels here. That way you will have a thin line here, and you want to keep the position of this line. So the y location of this line to be the height of the first label, second label, and to make sure it's right there in the required position. I'm just going to first rename this label. First, this is the name. Okay, and this is the I'm just going to call it name label. Okay, name label and DSC label. Okay. Oh, sorry, I misspelled uh, label. Label. Okay. So to make sure it is in the correct position, what you have to do is you need to add the height of the uh, name label and the height of the description label, and the height of the description automatically increases as required. To We need to have a fixed height for the first one, sorry, fixed position for the first one. So if you look at the position is 0 0, and height is 5. In the next one, we want the y position to be uh, whatever the height of the name label is, to to be the position of the a description label. So in description label, I can go to the y position. I can click on the y label and I could start typing name label dot height. Okay, so it will automatically move it to the height of the name label. And the next thing we have to do is we want to have the icon match with a description. So that is basically the name label's height plus description label's height. So click on the icon here. So I'm just going to select it in the tree view, and I can go to y again. If I click on y, I can click on name label dot height plus the description label dot height. So in that way, the position of this line would be the sum of the name label height and the description label height. If I play this application right now, you see the line is like exactly below the description, and for rows with just one line, uh, the height of uh, the gallery's item itself becomes smaller. The height has become smaller compared to the other objects. So that is variable height gallery. Hey everyone, I want to go over display forms and edit forms, and also we are going to create a button to submit a form. So, form, as the name suggests, like you would have gone to a government office to fill out a form, or you might have filled out a questionnaire of somebody else. Similar to that, there's a object called form, which allows you to view data uh, from a row in a data source. So if I go to data, so I have two data sources here, and we can view those in a form. So what I'm going to do is, like, we already created a gallery in our previous screen. I'm just going to copy paste it into a new blank screen. Sorry, I just copy pasted in the same page. Let me select this, and I'm going to come copying, and I'm going to this new screen that I created by clicking on this new screen button. So if I paste here, that gallery is added here. I don't want the thing to look too big, so I'm gonna move it around a bit so that it looks better. Um, Moving it here, and I'm gonna click insert, and I'm going to add a small button, like an arrow button. So I'm just going to search a or arrow, and I'm just going to add this next arrow here. I'm going to keep it all the way to the top, and I'm going to keep this price all the way to the top as well. Uh, so if somebody selects this arrow button, we want them to be able to see a more detailed a view of the particular item. So I'm just going to click play. At the moment when I click, it's not doing anything. What I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to add a form. So to do a form, I'm just going to search form. So there's this thing called display form. Display form is just used to display the information. You cannot add new rows to it. Now it's asking us to select the table, and I'm going to select product. Okay. Going to the advanced properties of the form, we can see that the data source is form, but the reason why you're not able to see any data is because we don't have any property in the items. So if I happen to select uh, uh, filter product, um, so let's just select the name of the product, e- uh, mm, equal to team tablet. Okay, and to make sure we are selecting the first one, we have to use the first command. First, oops, sorry, first. Okay, in that way we have the first item in the name with tablet. Okay, and sorry, that is I put it in the data source. We don't want to put it in data source, we want to put it in item. So if I go to item, and I'm just going to put first, and I'm going to change this to back to product. So the data type is product, and the item is, should be the other way around, sorry. uh, Item should be product, and data source should be, okay. So what we have right now is anything with tablet, show with the sorry, it takes the first item in our data source with the name tablet. There's only one of them. If I scroll down, there is nothing with tablet in it. There is a way in gallery to dynamically select what we want to display here. For that, I'm going to click on this button, um, and along with the select the parent command of the particular on select, it's already provided it for us. I'm going to put the semicolon button, and I'm going to select the set command, and I'm going to store it as a variable. I'm going to call this variable selected item, and the value would be this item. As the name suggests, this item will select the first row, I mean whatever row we have selected in the gallery. So if I just play this button and I click on the first button here, and I go to variables, and I go to variable, the selected item is, uh, you will be able to see, video record. You'll be able to see that the first item got selected here. Okay, and we want to display it in this form. So if I go to the item property and I select selected item, selected item, okay, and I play the entire application, I'm able to select whatever item that I have, and I'm able to see that in a form. But this is a read-only form. We want to have a form where you're able to add details to a table. So that is what we're going to do next. I want to copy this gallery again so that we are able to see it live when we add new data. So I'm going to go to tree view again. I'm going to close this page, and I'm going to new screen. I'm just going to put a blank screen here. And I'm just pasting the gallery again. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to add a form. Okay, and it's going to be a not display form, it is going to be an edit form. Okay, edit forms have three modes to it. I'm not able to select it because my cursor is too small, so I'm just going to select it from the menu item. So in the form, it's asking us to select the data type, and then I'm going to select product again, and it will fill out all the fields of the product table automatically. You can do it manually also, but that's a bit time consuming, and you guys can play around with it if you need to. But I'm just going to let it automatically give all the fields for us. Make it a bit smaller, and I'm just going to move it to the right side. And I can click play. There's no items to display, and um, there is a property called I'm not. So going to the documentation in display form, there is three modes. There's edit mode, new mode, and view mode. We want this form to be in edit mode, and the uh, to to make sure that it starts in the edit mode, we can go to Power Apps, and there is this property called default mode. You can change it to form mode or new edit or view, but I'm just going to keep it as edit. So, and we want the selected item to be whatever we have here. So we can go to the item, and what I've done is I've added a set parameter which adds the current item into this variable called selected item, and I'm going to add the selected item into the item parameter. So whenever you select, it automatically changes to whatever we want, and we can edit this value. But whenever we change something, it doesn't change the price. For example, smart blender cooker doesn't automatically change the price when I change the price here. So what we have to do is we have to create a button. I'm going to go and select button, button. Oh, sorry, I should be in insert. So if I go to insert button, I can drag drop button here, and to submit this value, there is this function called on select. If I go to my on select property of the button, I can put submit form. There's this function called submit form, and we want to know which form we want to submit. Going to tree view, the current form name is form one. So I go back to button, and I can put form one. In that way, like whenever we click on this button, I'm going to uh, we will be able to update the whatever field that we are updating here. I can rename this button name from button to submit the form. So go to the text property of button, and I'm just going to put um, mid form. Okay, and I'm going to play this application right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select tablet. Let's assume the tablet price have decreased to 300. And when I click submit form, what this will do, this will update the backend data source with the correct values here. Not only the price, I can update things like what are the categories here. I'm going to select kitchen appliances. So this is electronics, I believe. So I'm just keep it back computers and laptop. Let's assume that the status is inactive right now, and our stock has become zero. It's all sold out. Um, and color also changed to green. If I click submit form, the tablet's property has changed to 300. And if I added more fields in the gallery, I'll be able to see all the details here. I'm going to select something else, and I'm going to come back to tablet. You see the prices updated to whatever we set before. What if I want to add a new value to the data source? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another button. I'm going to add another button here. And what this button is going to do is we want to uh, save the status that we want the form to be as a variable. So I'm going to go and create a variable set uh, form one prop. I'm going to call this as uh, So we want to modify default mode. So I'm going to call this form1 be default mode, and we want to update it such that it will be a an edit. So form mode should be edit. So we want to save that as form mode dot new. So we want to have it as new instead of edit. Like initially it was edit. We want to store it as new. Um, but when somebody clicks an item in the gallery, we want that to be form mode dot view. So we have to update and update this set parameter in the gallery also, and we can do that by form mode dot edit. Okay, so what this will do is this will set the form1 default mode to form mode dot edit, and it will set the selected item as the current item in the one that we selected in the gallery row that we select. So this will change it as edit, and the button should change it as new. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this button, and it's not doing anything because we have to set that variable as the parameter for default mode. If I go to default mode and I'm going to form1 underscore, so what did we call it? Form1 default mode. Yeah, form1 default mode. Okay, it has gone to a new value. But if I click on this again, what it has done is it has changed to edit mode. So this edits the value, and if I click on this button, I'm going to rename this button as create new. What I'm going to do right now is I have clicked on this create new button. So I'm just going to select something and I'm going to click create new. So what this is going to do is allow us to add a new value. I'm just going to call it test prod 2 price. Let's put 100. Yeah, other parameters we're not really okay. I can add description is test esc. Okay, so we have the name, price, and description, and I'm going to click submit form. So what we have is a new item got added to the data source. uh, so we have essentially created a gallery, and we have created a form. Gallery can be used to select data to be displayed in a form, or data that can be used to edit in a form. And we can use a form to add new item to a data source. So that is a summary of what we have done today.